Hello, everyone. Welcome into Crime Time Buzz. So good to see you. Please hit that like on your way in. We have some important breaking news. The feds have been requested to join, lead, or take over, whichever, the case and disappearance of Sebastian Rogers and Summer Wells. And that comes on the heel of a ransom demand that was ignored in action from Sumner County Sheriff's Office, TBI, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the FBI. Now, I know some of you are saying, we're hearing rumblings that you're saying At Night isn't telling the truth, but I myself here can tell you they are, because I was the one who was sent the tip from our source. I submitted it and was with them through this whole journey. And I don't know what I would have done without At Night. My source, the source who received the ransom demand, doesn't know what she would have done without At Night, because we're told he's alive, he's well, hurry up, get the money, I'm leaving him in a hotel. Okay, so imagine being put in that position and not having someone respond to you to help get that money, that ransom, whatever was going on, or make contact with this person. It was terrifying. This is Crime Time Buzz. We are here for entertainment purposes only. We are discussing things that are out in the public, actual things that have occurred in the past week during the search for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. When you look in the thumbnail on the left, you will see Sumner County Sheriff Office Sheriff Eric Craddock, Sumner County Sheriff Office Lead Detective Brandon Carter. He is the lead on this case. There was an action. They had to be demanded to respond that they received it and got the FBI investigating. It was terrifying because Sebastian's life is precious. All children's lives are precious. And when you are in a position to take the tips and you're taking the leads and you have someone going through this, two women going through this, trying to get someone to do something, praise goodness for At Night, who was immediately in touch with us. Immediately walking us through it, guiding us, making us feel like we weren't alone. They handled it. I will tell you, I wouldn't want to be on their bad side. They are amazing. Their investigative procedures, they're expeditious, they're confidential, they are unbelievable. And with hours, I think within hours, they had the reward money ready to go. But unfortunately needed to hear something back for a little bit. But they are the ones who made contact. They are the ones who put people on airplanes to look for the person. They did all of the above, and we are forever grateful. So the feds have been requested in light of that very awful experience for everyone involved. The most awful is because we thought we were going to bring Sebastian Rogers home to his dad, and we did not. That was what was the most heartbreaking. But I will read to you the update that came out yesterday if you were not in my live, because I know many of you do not attend the live. So I wanted to put this video out for you who are my video watchers. Let me go ahead and switch over to X for you so you can follow along with me. This is a press release that came out. This press release came out from At Night, Creative Intelligence, and One World Society Corp. They together put out this press release, and it is regarding what occurred and didn't occur during the ransom demand that claimed Sebastian Rogers was going to be put in a hotel in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, bought a week's worth of food and clothing, and money would fund, $30K would fund first, and then they would want the rest of the reward. The driver is the one, alleged driver who drove Sebastian there. It was his story. He's the one who submitted it, allegedly. Turned out to be a hoax. But he claimed they were going to let him have 40% of the reward, and they were going to take 40% of the reward and let him have the rest, which I doubt would happen. He did even say one of his friends was the TRAFFICKERSs. And he did say Sebastian was ALIVE, and even went so far as to ask for a secret question. Thank goodness, because they, At Night in One World, they made contact with him and were communicating back and forth. And he asked for a secret question. They spoke to Sebastian Rogers' father, Seth Rogers, who provided one. No, none of us knew any answer to any question, only Seth and Sebastian. And we paced the floors, we waited, we prayed, we hoped, and it was a hoax. And at night they're investigating him. They're going to look into him. They are looking into him. And let me tell you, they are not a joke. I don't know what we would have done without them. They are a powerful force. They are a fast acting force. They are everywhere, so they can put people in places immediately. Unbelievable. Let's go ahead and look at this update explaining why they are calling in for the FBI to lead or parallelly investigate with Sumner County. And they are also asking that all evidence be turned over. And there's some things that they point out that have not been attended to, which are heartbreaking. My question is, if these are the things that we're aware of, what was not said? Let's not pretend it's a trash talk. Oh, and by the way, this repeats that it is not. Get ready, friends. For immediate release, One World Society Corp. and At Night Creative Intelligence, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, statement by At Night Creative and Intelligence, One World. At Night Creative Intelligence and One World Society renew urgent call for federal intervention in the disappearance of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. The incidents listed are just a few among many as the situation approaches the 1-year mark. Now we know it's much longer. At Night and its allies only recently came to fully understand the extent of systematic failures involved. Yes. July 1st, Fort Worth, Texas. July 1st, 2025, yesterday. Sebastian Rogers, 16, last visually seen leaving the Texas Roadhouse in Hendersonville, Tennessee, on the evening of February 25th, 2024. Has now been missing for 16 months. Despite unprecedented private sector efforts, crucial leads remain unexplored, essential questions unanswered, and pervasive misinformation continues to hinder the investigation. Given these critical investigative gaps and ongoing misinformation threats, independent investigators and At Night Creative Intelligence now urgently call for immediate and comprehensive federal intervention. Let me enlarge that for you just in case. Okay. You can see it a little larger. Okay, there you go. Sebastian vanished under suspicious circumstances after dining at the restaurant with his mother. At the time, he was 15 years old, approximately 5 foot tall, weighed around 120 pounds, wore a black shirt with Yoda. I love it that it's corrected from the sweatshirt, blue jeans, and had square frame glasses. By the way, if you would like to hear straight from the person who actually received the ransom demand, I submitted it because they sent it to me. She will be on my show tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, to tell her whole story. And it is something, folks. Sad ending, but it was something. So join me tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, she's going to share her story. She's brave. She didn't ignore it. And we can't ignore those tips because one of them might be the one. Sebastian has high-functioning autism and a rare chromosomal syndrome. Despite exhaustive searches, no confirmed trace of Sebastian has surfaced since that night. Unprecedented effort and unanswered questions. At Night, alongside private investigators, cyber specialists, body language, and linguistic analysts. So they've all looked at this stuff, and various expert contractors have dedicated over 500,000 analyst hours to digital forensics, open source intelligence, and field investigations. Excuse me. In partnership with Dwayne Dog Chapman, they've contributed to a reward pool of $447,000, part of a broader total reward of $500,000. Key unanswered questions. Is Sebastian alive? Number 1. Number 2, was his disappearance planned or spontaneous? Number 3, did he leave the reported residence barefoot? Local authorities have never confirmed whether Sebastian's shoes were recovered, despite exhaustive ground searches spanning thousands of miles, leaving his current status unknown. No evidence of a runaway. Independent body language experts who reviewed extensive footage found no indications that Sebastian intended to run away. Sebastian, who is autistic, reportedly left behind all of his shoes and his phone. Isn't that amazing how there's experts and analysts who can study footage and body language and lip read and determine the circumstance and the situation that's occurring at that time? Fascinating. Sebastian, who is autistic, reportedly left behind all his shoes and his phone. Surveillance footage captured, bingo, buckle up. This is awesome. Surveillance footage captured at 3:10 a.m. on February 26, 2024 shows two unidentified individuals with flashlights behind or near the Proudfoot residence, strongly suggesting third-party involvement, especially given that his stepfather was allegedly away and his mother was reportedly asleep at the time. Additionally, K9 teams lost Sebastian scent abruptly at a roadside, a circumstance more consistent with forced vehicular transport than a voluntary departure. So here it's telling us there was a scent that they caught at a roadside and then it was gone. They lost it at the roadside. Interesting, right? Critical ransom tip ignored. And this is the one that I myself submitted, and I went through it. I know they are being honest. It was terrifying. It was days before they had to force the hand of Sumner County to get a response, to let them know they'd received it, and had the FBI investigating it. It was terrifying because Sebastian's life, no child's life, deserves that kind of delay or turning away from it. On June 20, in my opinion, on June 23rd, 2025, At Night's national tip line received a credible tip involving a $30,000 USDT cryptocurrency ransom demand. Yes, my folks, this even included crypto accounts. They referred to them as Tether, a linked digital wallet, and evidence suggesting Sebastian had been TRAFFICKED to Cancun, Mexico. Supporting documentation and screenshots indicated that payment would yield proof of life and access to a witness employed at a local hotel. They were going to call, so they said, you can hear his voice before you send the money. At Night immediately escalated this critical lead to the FBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Follow-up communications on June 23rd, 24th, and 25th included multiple emails and a call to local authorities. The ransom demand explicitly outlined a criminal conspiracy, active threats, ransom demands, and cross-border TRAF, grounds warranting an immediate federal kidnapping investigation. Shockingly, no agency, and I repeat, it was TBI, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Okay? Oh, okay. Follow-up communications on June 23rd, 24th included multiple emails and calls to authorities. The ransom demand explicitly outlined criminal conspiracy, and shockingly, no agency acknowledged, none of them, or acted upon this lead until a licensed investigator hired by Mr. Rogers, operating near the relevant region, intervened. Imagine. At Night documented the lack of response in a June 25th memo, warning authorities of the severity of disregarding this federally mandated trafficking tip. Only later that day did local authorities respond, briefly stating, "Consider your tip acknowledged. The tip is being investigated by the FBI." But that took days. Days in which Sebastian's life could have been on the line, unless they knew it wasn't, in my opinion. Since then, no further updates, no clarifications or actions have been communicated to At Night or the tip source. And that's true. And she will be on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. The failure to properly investigate poses significant risks. If this tip was fraudulent and At Night prematurely committed reward funds, the capacity to respond to genuine demands is compromised. And that is true, like I said, within hours, because they were ready to fund. This unacceptable delay jeopardizes Sebastian's safety. We publicly demand an explanation as to why a credible lead suggesting he may still be alive and in danger was not immediately prioritized. And why do you have to keep asking them for a response? I had to ask them, but that was just because it was so serious. I wanted to know they got it. They don't owe me anything. But when you have people like At Night Intelligence who are in the field working on it, respond. And when it's your only case that you are working on, collecting a paycheck from the taxpayers, what in the world are you doing besides waiting there for a tip to come across your desk? Each day without decisive action increases the risk of permanent loss. Federal authorities must urgently acknowledge, investigate, and transparently report on their handling of this ransom tip. The circumstances indicate kidnapping and international trafficking, crimes governed by 18 U.S.C. 1201 with potential application under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Immediate FBI intervention is unequivocally necessary. There was also a forensic lead overlooked. Buckle up, friend. I didn't know about this one. On April 6, 2025, an anonymous tip labeled the Treehouse Tip was submitted to the Sebastian Rogers reward tip line, consisting solely of a photo depicting a tent-like hideout with domestic items clearly visible, including a boxed water container and a blanket. Critically, the image prominently displayed an email address, presenting an immediate forensic lead. Although no metadata such as timestamps, GPS coordinates, or device information were embedded in the photo, likely deliberately removed to anonymize its origin, the visual content itself provided actionable investigative leads. The treehouse tip. So basically looked like someone had been living out in the woods. Boxed water, blankets, domestic items. Okay, and they're saying this was 3 months ago. Okay. And At Night Creative Intelligence immediately conducted a detailed forensics analysis documented as Exhibit B, Treehouse Tip Submission Image Analysis, recommending urgent law enforcement follow-up. This included tracing the email address, so they traced it, analyzing the tent and surrounding items for potential matches to known locations or missing persons cases, and preserving the image as evidence. This detailed forensic report, categorizing the tip as potentially significant and deserving escalation, was formally submitted to law enforcement authorities, including the FBI's Rescue Me Unit and the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, in early April. Despite these clear recommendations, because they had already investigated it, okay? They had already investigated it and followed the email that sent it. Despite these clear recommendations, no documented action has been taken by Sumner County Sheriff's Office or TBI. To date, there has been no feedback, acknowledgement, or indication of investigative follow-through regarding this lead. The lack of action on this credible forensic tip is alarming, demonstrating a concerning and unacceptable pattern of overlooked investigative opportunities. And don't forget, Bristol, Virginia sighting of Sebastian, alleged sighting recently. Seth Rogers' father drove all the way there. And by the time he got there, Sumner County had never reached out, responded, reacted, or contacted. And our Oregon eyewitness, same. Seth's team ended up contacting her. Misinformation crisis. Sebastian's case continues to be severely impacted by rampant online misinformation and inadequate communication from local authorities. Persistent false claims, such as an alleged confirmed February 26th sighting and unfounded hit-and-run theories, have proliferated online, diverting investigative resources and creating a dangerous environment. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office has contributed to confusion through reactive and inconsistent communications, allowing rumors to thrive unchecked and overshadow verified facts. The absence of a clear The absence of clear and timely updates has exacerbated speculation, significantly hindering the search. For example, a widely circulated false rumor that the TBI confirmed a sighting of Sebastian on February 26, 2024, was allowed to persist until At Night pressed for clarification. And by the way, pause. I reached out to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, their media contact. That's who they put me in contact with, because I pointed out to them that the dates were different for last seen and missing. And they said, we will go check on that. They've got back to me right away. Thank you. We will go check on that right away and get back to you. Then I never heard from them again. And I emailed them once or twice after, and they ignored me. That was the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I have the emails. The misinformation environment has escalated into outright harassment and threats against individuals assisting the investigation. Volunteers, family members, and the At Night personnel have been subject to doxing, intimidation, and defamatory attacks online. In late 24, these actions reached an alarming level, including direct death threats, a purported $100,000 bounty placed on At Night's investigative team, and members of the Dog the Bounty Hunters group showing up at private residences. At Night's legal team also received threatening emails, some of which included photos of their spouses and children. These malicious and coordinated attacks ultimately forced. Now, when you hear stuff like that, do you just think, oh, a kid ran away? Of course not. These are dangerous things going on. These malicious and coordinated attacks ultimately forced At Night and One World to file for emergency legal relief on behalf of Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, following the issuance of cease and desist letters and subsequent legal action against those responsible for orchestrating these campaigns. Direct threats have led key volunteer groups such as United Cajun Navy to withdraw from search efforts after receiving in-person and online death threats. Ooh, in-person ones. Several At Night contractors and volunteers have similarly exited the investigation for their safety. We unequivocally condemn these actions. No one dedicated to finding a missing child should ever face such obstruction or hostility. And by the way, just so you know, when you see where the things like when At Night does these things, they're going to tell you they've contacted Kash Patel and stuff. They go right to the White House and everything. Local law enforcement bears significant responsibility for allowing this harmful climate to persist through inadequate and delayed communication. Timely, proactive public engagement is essential in dispelling harmful rumors, and it's required when you have an Amber Alert child, and they have two. And Summer and Sebastian don't get updates. Go look at the Department of Justice Amber Alert Field Guide. They're supposed to be guiding community efforts and ensuring the safety of volunteers. Despite repeated offers from At Night and One World to support communication management, law enforcement responses have been limited or non-existent. We urgently call on the Sumner County Sheriff's Office and TBI to address this communication breakdown and restore effective, transparent public engagement. Misinformation is not merely a public relations issue. It has significantly undermined search efforts, wasted precious resources, and endangered those dedicated to Sebastian's safe return. And by the way, after we got off last night, I received several messages that the locals were very scared when they heard there was a ransom and their law enforcement did nothing. They were very scared. And I received more than one of that. Plea for federal intervention. Due to substantial local inaction, amen. It was a terrifying week, thank goodness for At Night and One World, and the urgent circumstances surrounding Sebastian's disappearance, a vulnerable minor suspected to have been trafficked internationally, At Night and One World Society will formally request FBI oversight in a forthcoming letter addressed to FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino. Deputy Director Bongino, appointed in March 2025, currently oversees national FBI operations. And just a little tidbit, Kash Patel took interest in Emily Pike's case here from Arizona, the 14-year-old who was missing and then found deceased, and he contacted their family, Emily's family, and was working with them. So he does care about missing children. Under the Federal Kidnapping Act, the FBI possesses jurisdiction over kidnappings involving potential international crossings, as indicated by ransom claims pointing to Cancun, Mexico. Additionally, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act may apply if evidence of human trap is confirmed. The FBI's established role in Amber Alert cases further underscores their authority and responsibility to intervene decisively in cases like Sebastian's. And they're also asking for the FBI involvement in Summers' case, and that's coming. We urgently request the FBI to assume primary oversight, yes, please, of the Sebastian Rogers investigation, or at a minimum, initiate a parallel federal inquiry and secure copies of all intelligence and tips from local and state authorities for thorough bureau review. And I hope they still have the glasses, the pants, the skull that Silvers turned in, all of that, the footage we know they were watching at the command center, all of that stuff they'll have to turn over to the FBI and whoever takes over. We also urgently request the FBI to assume primary oversight and at the very minimum initiate a parallel federal inquiry and secure copies of all intelligence in the Sebastian Rogers disappearance investigation and all tips from local and state authorities for thorough bureau review. We also urge the FBI to similarly review the case of Summer Wells, who disappeared at age 5 in Tennessee under comparably suspicious circumstances. They're comparing them. Local and state authorities previously used misinformation on social media platforms as justification for their prolonged inaction, an unacceptable precedent we insist must not be repeated. Protecting minors in immediate danger is a public duty we implore the FBI to fulfill without further delay. We will request Director Patel to prioritize this case and deploy all necessary federal resources wherever the investigation leads, Tennessee, Mexico, or beyond. Our detailed letter to FBI leadership, copied to the U.S. Department of Justice and relevant congressional oversight committees, will outline the timeline of neglected leads and investigative missteps, emphasizing the urgency of immediate federal action. This includes highlighting critical evidence such as the unaddressed June 23rd ransom tip and overlooked forensic leads. Additionally, we are engaging the Tennessee's Office of the U.S. Attorney and the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division's Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit due to the interstate and international implications of this case. Amen. Thank you. Fresh eyes. That's what we need. A fresh, empowered federal investigation free from local political constraints and interagency conflicts is essential. Sebastian's safety must be the priority, overriding jurisdictional pride or embarrassment. Pride being it's my ego and I can handle this. I don't want to call people in. And embarrassment, in my opinion, being, well, we've had the wrong last seen date for 15 months. What else do we have to show them that's a hot mess, in my opinion, or not there anymore? That was known to be, who knows, whatever. I'm just speculating. Okay. While we acknowledge the FBI's prior involvement, including the announced $50,000 reward last year, the severity of this situation now demands their direct leadership and immediate intervention. Peter Kirkolas, Knight's National Tip Line Coordinator for the Rogers case, emphasized time is critical. Every ignored tip and every hour lost increases the peril Sebastian faces. And law enforcement should not have to be told that, because they wear a badge to honor, serve, protect. We cannot tolerate further inaction or bureaucratic delays. We urgently call on the highest levels of law enforcement to intervene decisively, cut through procedural obstacles, and bring Sebastian home safely. Yes, he further noted the diminishing patience of Sebastian's loved ones. And here's a quote, "We have diligently tried to work within the system. Now we are publicly putting that system on notice," end of quote. Good job. At Night and One World Society are prepared to pursue legal actions for gross negligence if credible leads continued to be ignored. Our unwavering goal remains Sebastian's safe return. Authorities must prioritize transparent communication and protect those supporting this critical search effort. Call to action. Help bring Sebastian home. We urge vigilance and immediate reporting of credible information. Please call 911 immediately if you think you see Sebastian, immediately. Silence risks Sebastian's life. Your anonymous tip could be pivotal. At Night, Creative Intelligence, and One World are committed to using all necessary legal actions to ensure Sebastian's case receives proper attention. And I'm telling you, they're fast, they're effective, and they are expeditious. One day I hope they're just amazing. We formally notify all responsible agencies that any further negligence or mishandling of critical, credible evidence resulting in harm to Sebastian will lead to legal action for gross negligence and other relevant civil claims. Ooh. Hey, you're talking to the agencies. Our primary goal remains Sebastian's safe return. And isn't it a shame that agencies who are wearing a badge, taking a paycheck, are not posting about Sebastian, are not speaking about him, are ignoring tips, but telling everyone no stone unturned? TBI is not posting about him. He's their Amber Alert child, not posting about Summer, not even at her anniversary this past June 15th, nothing. Last one was June 14th that I know of. Just shouldn't be happening, and it's happening in Tennessee. Our primary goal remains Sebastian's safe return, but accountability for mishandled tips and overlooked evidence is essential to restore public trust. Absolutely. I mean, it hurts my stomach to send a tip in there. I'm afraid they're going to sit on it or do something else with it, in my opinion. But I did send it because Seth Rogers told me immediately, get it to them. I didn't want to. I'll be honest. I said, no, I don't want to. But I did for him. He's the boss. But it made my stomach nervous. Where's it going to go to? A big black hole? In my opinion. We call upon anyone with information regarding Sebastian's disappearance, no matter how minor, to report it immediately to Sumner County, to Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and alternatively, after you call Sumner County or TBI or you may contact DOG and At Night's tip line at tips@manhunts.1. Media organizations are encouraged to continue rigorous scrutiny of this investigation. Yes, keep reporting on it. Let the locals hear it. Neither responded. Brandon, it took days to respond to the investigators, letting them know he put the FBI on it. And it says the sheriff still hasn't. Imagine. His Leeds only case, Carter's only case, and Craddock's his supervisor, and he didn't even respond. Wow. So media organizations, go for it. Let the locals know. And by the way, like I said, they are scared now. They are in shock and scared from what they learned last night. And they should be. He hasn't even told them if they're safe. And now they're hearing about TRAFFICKING. They're freaking out. Fact. Okay, setting the record straight. Facts versus information. All immediate family members, fact, all immediate family members, Seth Rogers, Chris Proudfoot, Katie Proudfoot, cooperated with law enforcement, including taking polygraph tests. It didn't say pass. I thought we read last night it said passed. All immediate family members, Seth, Katie, and Chris, cooperated with law enforcement, including taking polygraph tests. Misinformation. Rumors alleging a parent refused or failed polygraphs are false. Polygraph tests have not implicated family involvement, but it sure doesn't say they passed. And it's not admissible in court, which is probably why it wouldn't implicate, I don't know. Or maybe they all passed. We don't know. Fact, Sebastian was last seen on February 25th, 2024 at Texas Roadhouse, Hendersonville, Tennessee. No credible sightings have occurred afterwards. Misinformation. Claims of a TBI confirmed sighting on February 26th are false. And that means, and they're referring to the flyer that says last seen around his home on February 26th. And they let that go for 15 months. Authorities confirmed no sightings post February 25th. He was reported missing on the 26th. Fact, surveillance footage from a neighbor. Shows two unidentified individuals with flashlights behind the Rogers home at approximately 3:10 a.m. on February 26th. Boom, bang, bomb. No more being allowed to come out and say it's a trash truck. Misinformation. Suggestions that Sebastian wandered off alone with evidence indicating an abrupt loss of scent beyond his yard. That's misinformation. Suggestions that Sebastian wandered off alone with evidence indicating an abrupt loss of scent beyond his yard. Fact. Sebastian's phone was left behind. Investigators found no evidence of a planned departure. Misinformation. The theory of an impulsive escape lacks support, especially given Sebastian's routine-oriented nature. Fact. Multiple agencies, Sumner County, TBI, Fed, and FBI are actively involved, supported by a reward fund totaling $500,000 from public and private contributions. Misinformation. Claims suggesting the family rejected external help or that authorities do not intend to find Sebastian are categorically false. Our concerns center on responsiveness, not intent. So what they're saying is they don't believe that they don't want to find him. They believe that they're not responding and they are the lead jurisdiction, and this is not okay. Regardless if you want to find him or not, you're not going to find anyone if you don't start following leads, in my opinion. Sebastian is a beloved son, grandson, and friend who has autism and may be unable to seek help independently. He wants to come home. At Night Creative Intelligence and One World Society remain resolute in our commitment to bringing Sebastian home and holding accountable anyone obstructing this mission. We will not cease our efforts until every avenue is thoroughly pursued and Sebastian is found safely. But if negligence persists, we will pursue legal accountability without hesitation. A young man's life and future are at stake. Let us all act accordingly, ensuring our collective efforts align with the urgency and moral imperative of this critical search. Well said. Well said. So for emergency, you're going to call 911 if you see him, and then go to Sumner and TBI, okay? But first call 911 if you see him. Here is Sebastian. This was given by his father, Seth. These are all the flyers that they've put out. Okay. So the theory, my friends, is that Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers may have been TRAFF. The ransom demand said he was, that he was in Cabo, Mexico, or would be moved to Cabo San Lucas, Cabo, Mexico, and put in a hotel but with a week's worth of food and clothing. And there would be a hotel employee that would be a witness, and they would have him holding like a newspaper and answering the question, secret question that Seth Rogers submitted that no one else knew the answer to. So sadly, it sounds like a movie, but it's real life, and it's Sebastian's life, and Seth lives it every day, as do some of his other family members and friends and loved ones. And it ended not the way we wanted. We thought we were going to bring Sebastian home. We were excited. We were crying happy tears. We were screaming happy screams. And then it moved on to sad tears. And we are heartbroken that it didn't lead to Sebastian. But guess what? Sebastian's army. We're never giving up. We are Sebastian's army. So you keeping on. Hit that notification and subscribe. Like it on your way out, and don't miss tonight's live, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where you will meet the very vigilant Mindy, who received all those ransom demands, those scary, scary demands, and she acted, sent them to me. We have both acted, and through a week of ups and downs and worrying and all of that, at night walked through it with us, because it's scary. It's really scary. They were amazing. And I'm sad it didn't give the ending we hoped it would give and bring Sebastian home. But one day we are going to bring him home. So you keeping on. And until next time, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, talk soon.